Hi, welcome to SmarterTrack's orientation and training video. Today we're going to go over a bunch of features, all of the aspects of this software. Even though a lot of it is optional or very specific, we're going to teach you it anyway in case you find a use for it. So, to get started, I want to go over just in general, this overall system can be as strong or as weak as the person who's putting in the tools. The person putting in the tools needs to know the names of tools, nicknames, the slang, what they do. If you have someone that's not very knowledgeable about tools setting up the system, you're probably going to get poor results. And we'll go into that why in just a second. These are the 5 components of tool creation. So when you're adding a tool in the system, these are the things you're going to throw in there. You're going to have images, the tool number, the tool name, the tool's description, and the checklist items. So for the description and checklist items, those are optional. You don't have to use those, but it's a good spot to add in some extra information in case you want to. So for the tool images, there is no limit to the amount of images that you can throw on a tool. If you want to put 10 pictures of the tool on there, you can. I would suggest that you take a photo of the tool and the case that it's in. I would suggest you take a photo of the model serial for insurance purposes, warranty purposes, whatever the situation. Always good to have the model serial on there. That usually has the volts and amps next to it. But any informational package, if you're working with a machine that has different settings, or any kind of informational package, you could take photos of the packets, and then any attachments or additional parts that are going to go along with it. Like a ProPress, you have the jaws, or a pressure washer has the wands and tips. You want to throw those in as well. Tool number. Every tool must have its own unique number. This is how we're going to separate two tools that have the same name. So let's say you have two hammer drills. They're both called hammer drill. How do you separate the two? In the system, they're separated because every tool has to have its own unique number. If you can, I would suggest writing physically on the tool with a Sharpie or one of those white paint markers what the tool number is, and that'll be good because when you're starting the new system and you're adding everything in, you could look at the tool, and if you see that it has the Sharpie number written on it, that means that it's in the system. You don't have to check. So that's a nice way to kind of track your progress about what you've already put in the system and what still needs to go in. If you're looking at a tool and it doesn't have the tool number written on it in Sharpie, that means it's probably not in the system yet. So you can be creative with these numbers too. I've seen people do it for, even more layers of organization where they do tools number 1000 to 2000 are for the warehouse, and then 2000 to 3000 are for a specific project manager or a service guy, whichever. You can get real creative with the numbers. You can throw letters into the tool number too. So you can see I have like WH001. That would be like warehouse 001. You can throw letters in as well. The tool name is the most important component in your system because the tool name is what you're going to be searching up to find the tools that you're looking for. So you need to add in as much of the nicknames and slang as you can. That way, if people look something up by a different name than what you would probably call it, it still shows up. So here's an example on the right. We have an 8-inch circular saw, circle saw, metal cutting saw, and skill saw. All of those are in the name of the one tool. That way, if anybody shows up and they look for one of those things, it'll pop up. Where if you don't have all those names, then it won't show up. So like if you call it a circle saw, but I call it a skill saw, you want to put both of those names into the system. That way, when you look them up, it'll show up in your search results. So description, this is optional. You don't have to put anything here, but it's just another spot for you to put more information, any notes, anything that you want to say about a tool or any just additional information, you can throw it in here. When you search, it will also search the description just like it searches the name. So if you want to add your extra keywords or slang in here, you can do that and keep the name real nice. These guys use the description in this example. They use the description to mark where their home is for the tool in the warehouse. So they're saying this tool is going to go on rack 5 in the tool room. So that way when people go to return a tool, they know where they should put it, or in the warehouse guys know where to put it. It just helps them stay organized. So that's how they're using the description. But you don't have to use the description like that. You don't have to use the description at all. It's just an extra spot for you if you want it. Checklist items. These are also optional. You don't have to add these. They're mainly used for damage reporting, but they could also be used as um, a reminder to resupply things that are consumable, like oil and grease, or just a reminder to make sure that you have all the additional parts or attachments with the tool. So now you can see me doing a live example where I claim a tool, I enter in the location of the job site where I'm taking it. Here I'm just going to put example, I'm going to store it on the truck. Then at the bottom here you can see the checklist items that we have. So I'm going to mark the tool as it needs to be repaired, and then you could submit the report just like that, or if you want you could add even more notes inside of it to get more detailed. So I'm saying the right wheel needs to be fixed. Then I'm going to finish my tool claim, and it's going to put the tool into my name, update the location, and it's going to generate a report for the admin saying that the tool is damaged and needs to be fixed. So now that we have created a damage report, if you try and go and take that tool from someone, it's going to give you a warning saying, hey, this tool is damaged. Make sure that you acknowledge whatever's broken on it and that you don't need it, or if it's something that you need to work, then you should go and get it fixed before you take this tool. So now for the admins on the website, they're able to go to the reports tab on the left and you'll be able to see all of the damage reports for your tools. So this is the one we just made for the equipment tank rulers. We said the overall tool condition is damaged and needs to be repaired. And here's my comment, my extra note saying that the right wheel needs to be fixed. So let's say that I fix that wheel, and now the tool is fixed. I will hit resolved. And it will be deleted. So now that we understand the 5 components of what makes up a tool, I'm going to show you how to create a new tool in the system. I would sign in on my phone, that way you can use your phone camera. So I'm going to go over to the Tools tab, hit Add New Tool, enter in whichever tool number you like, put in the tool name, so I'm going to put in Drill Example. Your description is optional. Let's say that I was putting it in the warehouse, so I'll just say in the warehouse tool room. Estimated cost, you don't have to put that in unless you want to for some accounting purposes, and then we hit create new tool. Now the tool will be in the system, but we still need to add photos. So I'll go and I'll search up that tool for the drill example, and I'll hit upload image. And now I can take photos of the tool. So I'll take a photo of the drill, hit use photo, and it'll be uploaded. Now I'll just keep doing that until I have all the photos that I want of the drill. So let's say I get another angle, and then I'll save the changes. And that is how we create a tool. So claiming a tool is very easy. You only have to enter 2 things. The first one is the location. That's the job site that you're going to take the job to. And then stored at, clarify whether you're going to leave the tool on the job or if you're going to take it in your truck so it'll move around with you, for like a service guy that's always moving to a different job every day. When you're claiming it on the app, you'll see the background starts off as yellow, and as you fill in the information, once it's all filled in, it'll turn green. Again, it's only 2 things, the location and the stored at. Pretty easy. And then you have the checklist items if you wanted to report damages like we already showed. So for security, there are 2 kinds of accounts, your techs and your admins. Most of your guys in the field will be techs. Techs, once they have a tool in their inventory, cannot send it to other people. It is stuck with them. That way they can't say, oh, I gave it to him or her, or I put that back, because it's stuck in their inventory until somebody else takes it out. So a way for a tool to move, I claim it from someone else, it's stuck in my inventory until I give it to the next guy who will then claim it from me. Admins do not have that security lockout. Admins can move tools in and out of people's inventory without their permission. That way, if you're a delivery driver, I can say I'm taking this from Doug to Jake, and I would just be able to transfer it from Doug to Jake without them having to do it themselves. So you've already shown how to do a tool claim. You go onto the app and you claim the tool for yourself and it'll move into your inventory. For an admin to override without having someone claim it or be able to send it from one user to another without being involved in the transaction and being a middleman, they can use the admin override on the website, and that's going to be done through a transfer. So we can see now that we are on the admin website, and you can go to the transactions tab to make a transaction. I'm going to go create new transaction at the top. I'll search for the tool, so I'll pick number 15 here, this hijack telescoping super genie lift, and it's going to automatically fill in the user that owns it right now, and I'm going to choose who I want to send it to. So I'll say that I'm sending it to Brandon, and then I'll tell the job is, I don't know, Domino's. Same thing as before, stored at, I'll pick on the job site. Here this tool has a lot of checklist items, so I could report damages if I want. I'm not going to. And then I'll create the transaction, and we'll see the tool transfer from RJ, the previous owner, to the new owner, Brandon, with the location in Domino's and the stored at on the job site. So that same transaction screen is where you'll be able to see the full history of the tool. That way you could follow a story from start to finish of where a tool was, who it went to next, all the way until the current location. So we can see here I looked up this deep cut tool, and I can see from when it entered the system at the bottom, it's had about 5 transactions, and now it is back in the warehouse with RJ in the tool room rack 9. But you can follow the history all the way through a tool from when it entered the system on the transaction screen. Groups are used to group up tools that tend to move together. So you can use this for a lot of things. One would be for gang boxes. If you're going to load up a gang box with tools and ship it onto a roof, and then it's not going to come down for 9 months, then you could have a list of what was all the tools that I put into the gang box. So when it comes back down, you know to make sure that everything's still in there. If something's not in there, then it should have been transferred within the system, and you would know where it is. This is also good for vans. If you want to, same thing with vans, you load up a van with a bunch of company tools, and then say a guy gets fired, or a guy quits, or there's a break-in that happens, you need to know what of the company tools were in the van. That way you know what to pull out or to hold accountable, or to hold the worker accountable for. You can use this creatively too. I have a client, they use it for, they have multiple warehouses, so they took the photos of all the equipment, the AC units and stuff that are in the multiple warehouses. That way the salesmen and the project managers know where that equipment is, what it looks like, how big it is, stuff like that. So in order to create a group, we'll go to the group tab on the admin portal, and we'll go up to the top right and hit create new group. So we'll call this one gang box 2. Then I'm going to create a group. Now this is an empty group because there's nothing in it right now. So to get tools in it, I'll go up here and I'll hit add tools. Then I would be able to select all the tools that I want to add into this group. So we'll go here, and then I would go and I'd add all these tools. Then when I hit add selected, all the tools will go into the group, and now I know. If you wanted to transfer the group together, like I'll move all of these tools at once, then I would go transfer group and do it the same as a tool transaction. Pick who's going to be getting the tool, where it's going to be going, and how it'll be stored, and it will update all of the tools inside the group. So you don't have to transfer a tool one tool at a time, because if you're moving, say, 10 things, you'd have to go in and claim 10 tools, type in the location 10 times, and store it 10 times. Now you can do a bulk transfer or a batch transfer, and I'll show you how to do that on both the app and the website now. So on our website, we're going to go back over to transactions, hit create new transaction, and once we get our first tool in, we'll have the option to add another tool. And then we'll just keep doing that, and we'll keep adding all the tools that we want until we've hit our limits. Let's say I wanted to move these 4 things. Now I'm going to do all 4 of these tools are going to go to the same person, which would be Brandon. Type in the location and the stored at, and it would update all 4 of these tools, owners, location, and stored at. So on the mobile app in the top right, you'll see the button that says select multiple tools. That'll allow us to select multiple things before we claim it. That way we can claim multiple tools at once. So we'll go through here, select a bunch of tools, and then we'll hit claim selected. Now we'll be able to claim all of those tools together, and we'll update their locations and stored at, and they'll all go into my inventory with the new updated information. Although I suggest having all of your employees in the app with their real emails, you can create accounts for them, or you can create fake people with fictional email addresses. The email does not have to be real. So I've had clients that made a fake account for Warehouse 1 and Warehouse 2, and then instead of assigning the tools to the warehouse manager, they would assign the tools to just the name of that warehouse, like 1761. This allows for a little bit more creativity, and when you're planning on how to use your system. So in terms of creating a fake user, we would go onto our admin website, go to the users tab, and then we could hit add user, and now we could create a fictional user such as fake user number 1. And then I would put in any email. It doesn't have to be a real email, so I'll say fake@gmail.com. Doesn't matter what the password is, and I can make him an admin or a tech. I'll make him a tech, and then we'll create the user. And now we'll see him pop up. This is alphabetical, so we got to find F. Here he is, fake user with a fake Gmail. We could also see here, this is the client I was talking about. They use 1455 as their name, and that's for their warehouse email. But that's a fake email. They just wanted a fictional user that they could send it to for their 2 different warehouses. Okay, for tool cost, this was a feature that I was asked to build for one of my clients. I don't know exactly how they use it. It's for some kind of accounting purposes. I want to say depreciation. I'm not sure exactly, but it's built in there for you if you want to use it. You're also able to export to PDF or Excel, which is really nice for if you want to kind of get a report of your tools or maybe take an inventory every quarter, something along those lines. I give you that option as well. On our admin portal, what we'll do is go over to the tool cost tab, and here's where you would input the cost of all the tools that you want to. So I see I have an example tool here with a cost of $6,000, and then we have the numbers up here adding stuff up. So the total estimated value of everything is 6 grand. If I were to go in here and add another $700 tool, then this would update, and now the total estimated value has updated. So for some kind of accounting purpose, I'm not sure exactly what, but it was a feature that was requested. You could also export to PDF. So now it's gave me a PDF of all of my tools. That way you could have a nice list to turn in, maybe for insurance, maybe for taxes, if you want to. The last thing is our company settings. So when you were to create a new tool right now, if you don't have these turned on, it will say that the owner is unknown, the location is unknown, and the store data is unknown. So you could come through here and turn on a default location, so that way when you make a new tool, it will automatically assign it to a user, like your warehouse manager, the location to be the name of your warehouse, or if you're adding them all on a job site, you would put the name of that job, and then it would default to them whenever you create a new tool. Additionally, I have a feature for location aliases, so sometimes people call things different names, like we call it the warehouse, the shop, and 1455. What you can do is make it so that way if someone types in any of those three things, it will autocorrect basically to one name, such as warehouse. So you'll find those settings in the settings at the bottom. So you can see this company has their default location on, and it's going to default to the shop. So whenever they add a new tool into the system, it is automatically going to assign it to the shop, which is another word for their warehouse. And their default owner is going to automatically assign it to this guy named RJ, who is the warehouse manager. So their tools default to the warehouse location with the warehouse manager's account. Down here we have the location aliases. So this is where you can get multiple words that all mean the same thing to standardize and autocorrect basically. So down here you can see that they call their warehouse the office, they call it Sassy, or they call it warehouse. All three of those, if someone were to type those in, are going to autocorrect to the word shop. So that's why all of their tools have the word shop on it, because if they're putting in office, Sassy, or warehouse, it's autocorrecting to shop. Workflows. So this is when you have to decide how are you going to use the app within your company. What is your system going to look like day to day? Who is going to be making the transfers? If you're going to try and get every employee that you have to be accountable for the tools that they take and transfer and swap in the field, you're going to want every employee to have an account. That way you have a name to drop it under. That way you can assign it to their name. If you're going to have just your leaders or project managers be on the app, then they're the only people that need an account, and then you could have just the leaders, the 10 guys, come and claim the tools between them for their entire group, their whole crew. Or you could have a hybrid, have all of the guys get onto the app, but then only have the leaders be in charge, have them be admins and keeping track of those transactions. You could have it that way if most of your tools are always delivered to the job by a delivery driver, just make your delivery drivers admins and then they drop it into their accounts. You have to figure out what you want the workflow to look like for you. Is it everybody claiming every tool that they take? Is it the delivery drivers are placing it into people's inventories? Do you only need a handful of guys on it and they represent the whole crew? Those are the kind of questions that you want to think about. So just as a reminder, a strong setup is a strong system. Make sure that the person who's putting in those tools is someone that knows tools really well and can think of a couple of those nicknames and kind of predict what people will call it. If you're going to use the description box at all, you got to think about, are you going to do it like that one company that uses that as the home and the warehouse? Are you going to put extra little keywords or notes there to remind people things about the tools? How are you going to do your numbers? Are you just going to start at number one and work your way up to 100, or are you going to do a system where like tools 0 through 1,000 are electric tools, and then 1,000 to 2,000 are corded tools? Or what are you going to do with those numbers? Are you going to physically mark the tools with the Sharpie or the white paint marker? That way you know which ones are in the system and which ones aren't. And yeah, be creative. The system's simple, but it's very customizable. I give you guys a lot of room to run to make it really work for you. If you can dream it, you can do it. Yeah, so for support, you can always reach out to me. This is my contact info here. You can call me, text me, shoot me an email. I'll get back to you and I'll try to help out as best as I can. If you guys have any suggestions, any features that you want added, or if you have any bugs that you run into, any kind of glitches as I'm working through them, please let me know. That way I can keep making this app better and better for you guys. And any questions, yeah, please ask. Please do not be afraid to ask. I want this to be as helpful for you as possible. Thanks, and welcome to Smarter Tracks.